Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Whoa, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked, ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs. You know what? I say this next part every week. You know what I'm gonna say. It's always the same thing.
Is it the same thing that Charlie Brown went through?
I don't think so. I don't think he ever said. Welcome to Bare Naked ABCs. We cover every song with a song to love.
Wow. That was really, a great podcasting right there.
As you just did that, I'm now actually really worried for Charlie Brown's teacher, because maybe this whole time she's been gagged and tied to a chair and we didn't know it. Joining me tonight, we have Heidi and Tyler Boudreau. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, I just kind of jumped in like I'm a regular person, but I guess I'm a guest. Sorry for overstepping.
No, that works. I don't care when people jump in.
Although I'm calling it now. I'm the champion of the Rule the World with Love contest. So,
oh, I don't know. Like the last I checked, Aaron had the only vote. So,
well, I'll go in there and vote for myself, and then it'll be tied.
Wait a minute! You can't vote for yourself. It's not fair. I didn't vote for myself. I voted for Aaron. No.
No, yeah. Thanks for having me.
This is a part of the show where I normally say, what song is this from? But we don't have Aaron this week.
It's from one of my favorite albums.
It's from Jeff's absolute favorite album.
It is one of my favorite of all of the albums.
Is this song Why?
Yes, I love this song. I know.
No, the song is S. It's the first of the S's. Not
yeah,
why.
That's not why.
Not why.
Yeah, it's not why.
We are now going to be on the S's, but then for literally the rest of the year at this point.
Wow, that's a lot of S's.
That is a lot of S's.
I just want to say, speaking of Born on a Pirate Ship, you know, I've had kind of my bouncing around of episodes that I've appeared on for this show. I've mostly done songs from Gordon and Born on a Pirate Ship, and then like way later, like Silver Ball tracks.
Mm-hmm.
But to be clear, I've also been on the episodes for Just a Toy and In the Drink.
That's
so
true.
This tail end of Born on a Pirate Ship, which I'm assuming Heidi loves and I love, of these kind of like smooth, very chill vibe songs.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of Spider in My Room, which I always skip.
I do too. I feel so bad because I love Jim so much. But that song, there's a spider in my room. But there's so much on this album that I've always loved.
But when it rolls through Break Your Heart, same thing, Just a Toy and In the Drink, which I do like. Those 4 songs in a row and then ending with Shoebox. It's so great.
And Just a Toy, Shoebox is long and one of my favorite songs of all time. And I have a funny story to go with that when we get to that song. It's a hilarious teacher story that goes with that song. But I mean, everything, Stomach versus Heart, Straw Hat, I Know. This is where it ends. I sing that in my head all the time. Call the police and call the press, but please, dear God, I tell my friends. And like, this is, I get why. It's got Break Your Heart, and you can't go wrong with that. But I just think it's a brilliantly constructed album, with the exception of.
Oh dear.
And I even like In the Drink. I do kind of like In the Drink, but Spider in My Room always freaked me out.
I so disagree. The end of this album I think the end of this album is what makes this whole album controversial. Honestly.
Really?
I think so.
Why?
All right, well, let me pull it up here.
I think it doesn't start as strong.
In the drink, it's fun. Shoebox is incredible.
I think it finds its stride in the middle. I think Stomach versus Heart and I Know aren't as strong of leading songs as they could be.
Yeah, I would have. I'm surprised they didn't start the album with Straw Hat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't start the album with Shoebox. Like, that is their
I could
lead.
see that.
Like, that would be.
Boy, there are a lot of
intro.
S's on this album.
There are. We are going to be discussing
Straw Hat,
this
Spider-Man,
album.
same thing. Shoebox. Holy cow!
Yep, we have 5 songs off this album this year that we'll be discussing. Well, Straw Hat and Stomach will be next year, beginning of next year. But yeah, 5 songs in the S's. 5 songs in the S's. So we're going to be here a while, and we get to start off with the same thing. But I think that Stomach versus Heart's a good song.
Mm-hmm.
I think Straw Hat's a good song. I Know I've come to love. This is where it ends. I really enjoy. When I Fall is when I start to feel like it falls apart.
I love When I Fall.
That's a classic song.
I'm not saying it's a bad song. I'm not saying it's a bad song. I think it's a bad place for it on the album.
And I think I'm so attached to this album because this is where I really started getting deeply, overly, maybe involved with my BNL obsession. Because this just album, I think I listened to on repeat for, months. That CD, I think I had to replace because I wiped it out so much. But yeah, maybe that's why, because they're the only outlier on this is Spider for me. So
and I think we're gonna have an interesting discussion around that, because today is gonna be the beginning of a very interesting discussion around that, because I don't feel nearly as strong about this song as you guys do.
Well, maybe we can change your mind. That has happened.
It has happened. It could happen today.
It is possible.
No, lightning strikes twice sometimes.
Usually not in the same place, but sometimes. So, Heidi, I would ask you to break down the music, but I think it must have been the same thing that Schroeder went through.
Well, I have broken down the music, so
break down.
It's the Heidi breakdown. I felt like I had a breakdown or two this week. Holy cow.
Not with this song, I'm guessing, because
the music, obviously, it's from BOAPS 1996. The key is G. It's funny because there are 3 different. The original BOAPS clocks in at about 122 beats per minute, about 4 minutes and 1 second. The Stop, if you've heard this version, clocks in at 4 minutes 11 seconds and 134 beats a minute. So isn't that interesting? And the live version, 3 minutes and 52 seconds at 125 beats per minute. So
what you're telling me is that they couldn't even, no matter when they played this, they couldn't do the same thing?
They couldn't do the same thing. It is in the key of G. And it's interesting because the form this is one of the brilliant things about this song is the way it works. The beginning of the first verse isn't really the verse, like that's repeated, that melodic construction in most of the verses, because he starts off with that.
What does it mean to wake out of a dream and be wearing someone else's shorts? I've been around the block at least on my bike. I was prepared for the news, but not for a full-scale war.
Yeah, what's that called when it's like a coda but on the front?
It's like a pre-chorus, like little mini intro, and that is not chordally like within.
No,
it's still in the key, but it's like it starts on an E minor 7 chord, goes to so it starts on a a minor 6/7 chord to a 5 chord to a 1 chord to a 4 chord to a minor 2/7 to a 1 to a 2. So it keeps this really minor feel. And then when it gets into the found me an answer in a grocery store.
Now we're into the normal.
Found me an answer in a grocery store. Found me an answer in the form of an old man with a cardigan on. This guy's got 30 years on me, but he stops and smiles just to say hello. Didn't I see you on TV?
Then you've got a minor 2/7 chord, an A minor 7 to a G, which is the root, the tonic chord. So you've got a 2 to a 1 to a 2 to a 1 to a 4 to a 5. So he stays around that chordal progression, and then in the chorus it goes right into the tonic.
Must have been the same thing. Must have been the same thing. Must have been the same thing Charlie Brown went through.
1 to 4 to 5 to 6, a minor 6 chord, and it goes around until it ends where he says Charlie Brown went through. That's back to an A minor 7 chord, which is a 2 chord in this key in the progression. And then you've got verse 1, verse 2, or verse 1, chorus, verse 2, following that same chord progression from verse 1, and then the chorus, and then that instrumental break. And then the bridge.
These things all end. Who asked you anyway? You have to bend. Who asked you anyway?
Which I love this bridge. So it's a minor 6 chord to a 5 chord to a minor 2 chord, which is a very unusual progression. These things all end, that part. And he just repeats those 3 chords throughout it. Who asked you anyway? And that it's the same 3 chords, the same thing, every line. And then he goes back into the 3rd verse, and then it goes back into that chorus. Must have been the same thing. Must have been the... And I love the vocal interplay in the outro chorus. So that's the basic breakdown. And there you go.
Beautiful
Wonderful.
harmonies.
You're welcome. Oh, gosh, the harmonies are stunning.
Mostly in the chorus, right?
Mhm.
Just when they're saying must have been the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Must have been the same thing. I love the call and response bit of that.
Call and answer, I think you're supposed to say.
I love the call and answer of that. But that's the basics of the overall. But what makes this song so special is the lyrics.
The arco on that last verse in the background, especially during the thunderstorm line.
Stand out.
Oh, yeah. When he's doing the thing with the guitar strings and it sounds like ethereal.
Is it guitar strings, or is it Jim on the arco double bass, or is that the violin by Mark Fewer? Or is that the viola by Tony Rappaport?
And we actually talked about this when we were talking about In the Drink. You know, when you like slide up and down the strings on a guitar chord, it makes that sort of like sound. That was a bad mouth effect on my part, but it's kind of like him doing that, but on purpose, because you're not supposed to have that sound. If you're like a really good guitarist, you would know how to not have that sound.
Right. Yeah. Andy had said that during one of the times I'm saying, hey, what's that noise? He's like, yeah, you're not supposed to hear that noise. That's me messing up. And I was like, but I remember that anecdote. I love it. But I love that. Don't get rid of that. But there's there's also some really great string work.
There's a fiddle solo in the middle of the song.
Well, is it a fiddle or is it the violin? Is this the one that has the fiddle on it?
They're truly synonyms.
Look, Kitty.
Are they? Heidi, are fiddle and the violin the same thing?
Yes, they're
context.
They're just different genre styles, but they're exactly the same instrument.
Okay. I did not know that. You guys taught me something new
Like a baritone
today.
horn and a euphonium are very similar, but not exactly the same instrument. They play the same music. They sound pretty similar, but one is a conical bore and one is, never mind, I won't get into the details of a baritone horn versus a euphonium. But unlike that, a fiddle and a violin is a fiddle. They're both exactly the same construction. It's just the genre and style that play that make them different.
Okay, so you are correct. I'm looking in the liner notes, and yes, Hugh Marsh is playing the fiddle on this song. Interestingly enough, I knew this from before just because I know who's doing this album. Interestingly enough, this is the album, of course, that we don't have Andy. He left. And so Jim is really taking over, which is why we have In the Drink, why we have Spider in My Room. He's really taking the reins. It's also the album that Ed and Steve have kind of disappeared to some extent during the recording process, because they're both having other problems in other areas of their life, or not problems, because I believe that this is the time that Ed had his first child. So anyways, the point being that Jim really kind of starts taking the lead on this album. And the reason that's important is Jim's the one that's playing the piano on this song, and I think he does a gorgeous job.
Oh, I agree.
You know, it's interesting because I didn't necessarily hear the piano as much on the album track, or I guess my brain hasn't processed it. But when we heard the "Stop Us If You've Heard This Before" version, which was from 1992, apparently, which is a whole other thing that we can talk about because it's so different. I heard the piano much more vividly, and I was like, "Oh, that's Andy on the piano, probably."
Yeah. Well, and I think that's another really interesting thing. This song predates Gordon. Like, this song was being played live in 1992, and you can tell that it was a song that they had done prior to this, because when they start off with the first few chords of the song, the audience all of a sudden starts cheering. So they knew this song. They knew what they were going to be playing. So prior to early 1992, prior to Gordon, they had been playing this song. It did not make Gordon. It made this album instead.
I'm interested. Yeah, it's interesting because maybe there's a rawness to this song that they weren't ready for on Gordon. And I guess there are some raw songs on Gordon, but I'm thinking The Flag is more of a Steve one. And maybe Ed just hadn't figured out what he wanted this to sound like until a few years later.
Because in 1992 is like when we get that really different version.
I found me an answer in a grocery store. I found me an answer in the form of an old man with a cardigan on. This guy's got 30 years on me, but he stops and smiles just to say hello.
Matter of fact, there's a couple of different live ones. Also, Ed, when he plays it in the Bathroom Sessions version, plays it very, very similar to how he plays it when they played it live. That fast, upbeat, kind of bouncy version of this.
Yeah, it sounded like they were playing King of Bedside Manor, but singing same thing.
Thank you. I had that same note. So my question, I guess, to you guys is which of the two different ways that they played it? I mean, both of them are very well done musically, but which of the two versions do you prefer?
Oof.
It's got to be the album version.
Yeah, I think the album version as well.
It's impeccable. I like the Bathroom Sessions version too, just because it's Ed doing it solo, and you know the different strumming style he does it does on the Bathroom Sessions version makes sense, just because, you know, it would feel kind of sparse if he was just doing like the sort of picking style, or, you know, there just wouldn't be enough there. Like, he's got a strum to really flesh it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, the album version is where it's at.
I agree 100%.
Interesting, because to me, I like the live version better. My favorite is definitely the one that they have on "Stop Us If You've Heard This Before." It's one of the few times that you'll actually hear me say, "I'm glad that was on that album," because otherwise I would have missed out on this song. Because as beautiful as this song is, I didn't really enjoy listening to it until I heard that version.
There is something to be said for like an up-tempo version of a kind of slower song. I mean, the band Me First and the Gimme Gimmes has made a whole career on that.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, and I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Well, you had said that the music is great, but the lyrics is what makes it for you, Heidi. I've been around the block a few times, but I don't know what this song is about. So can you, like, I have vague ideas, but that's the closest that I have on this song. Can you help illuminate to me what this song is actually about?
What are your thoughts, Tyler, before I jump in?
Well, as I've said, every time I've appeared on this podcast ever, my brain doesn't exist and words go through my brain in one ear and out the other. Just in the sense that the way I listen to music is very like emotionality and musicality first and words third. Mm-hmm. Like, if it's Copacabana, yes, I like the words and I understand what the words are about. But if it's a song,
Ola, she was a showgirl. I was a huge Barry Manilow fan, a fanalo, if you will.
I'm more of a Can't Smile Without You guy. But in terms of this song, I think, you know, the emotionality state that, you know, I've really internalized this song in, you know, going through 2020 and 2021, when I had a long playlist of very chill songs, and half of them were Kimya Dawson songs and the other half of them were this type of Bare Naked Ladies song, or those couple Violent Femme songs that are kind of slow and acoustic, just because those are like my favorite artists, and just kind of existing in that sort of mildly depressive state that maybe we all went through for those couple of years. It was just kind of a song for me to have with me as a comfort and to sing along with. But I think the meaning of the song probably does resonate with some sort of depression, or some sort of trying to figure out how to navigate the world. You know, you're standing in a grocery store. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out what to do. What do I buy? I'm standing here and I don't know. And then a guy walks up to you and says, "Hey," wait, hold on. I have a joke. Cause do you remember the Mitch Hedberg joke? "Hey, didn't I see you on TV?" But he did not say whether I was good. And then comic store, like, you're in the comic store, you're looking for something to make your day better. And the thing that should make your day better happens. And then you're like, I can't enjoy this. And then, of course, the thunderstorm verse probably being the most evocative. Like, I don't know. I still seem to get struck by lightning no matter like what I do to try to stay out of the bad situation. I just like, it keeps coming to me. And so it's about like how we internalize these sort of mental things, and how, you know, every day can feel the same when you're feeling like that.
I think it's, I'm a lot. It's kind of, it's very much stream of consciousness writing. Like coming to, and he wasn't that old. I mean, it wasn't like he was his age now. But there's an awkwardness to it that I think I really appreciate and that I identify with. Even like the open, like "You're Not Yourself" found me an answer in a grocery store in the form of an old man with a cardigan on. The guy's got 30 years on me, but he stops and smiles. And now he would be the guy with the cardigan on. Well, maybe not a cardigan, but with 30 years on this kid. And hey, hello, didn't I see you on TV? And it must have been the same thing Charlie Brown went through. Now, Charlie Brown is a classic depressive character who just can't get he just, no matter what he does, he's, the redheaded girl, the football. That was the first musical I ever directed was Charlie Brown. And like, he's trying to get this kite in the air. Like, he just can't win at life. And so it's kind of like that whole, like, nobody really understands him and he's not really seen, like, so there's this weird awkwardness, and Charlie Brown was an awkward character. But then it goes into this weird other thing, in walks the Fantastic Four. I say, don't go that last issue was cool. It must have been the same thing. Like, it's a very strange and beautiful and weird song.
Well, that's the part that bothers me, to be honest, is I don't understand the song. I've had 2 weeks to really drill down with this song, and I'll admit,
I've had 2 weeks.
And it also could be like he's coming to terms with maybe, again, he was getting a little older. I mean, not like old, but in 96. So that's when we all started to kind of grow into our adulthood in 96. We're all around that same age group.
Yep. And, all of us are.
Shush, Tyler. Well, those Tracy and I are. And that was when we were hitting our, early 20s, mid 20s, and going, oh my gosh, I have to be a grown up now. And now I'm much too young to feel this damn old kind of thing comes to mind, where he's especially like, something in my veins, my weathered veins. Like, I'm starting to try to figure out who I am, where am I going? I'm supposed to be an adult, but I'm not, but I don't feel like an adult. And I don't think I act like an adult. And I still go through that now. And I'm 48. And I'm like, do I act 48? Like, when I was a kid, all the teachers that I knew that were that age, or even when I was in my 20s, I'm like, oh my God, they all are like old looking. Like, they look old. But I don't feel like I look like I'm almost 50. And I don't feel like I act like I'm almost 50. But I think there's that thing when you're in your early mid 20s where you're like, wow, things are starting to change, and it's very weird. Like, I don't know who I am or where I'm going or what I should be, and I don't feel like I'm this age. I feel like I'm still young. I don't know. I think it's just that question, and you can get depressed and pulled down and bogged down by that. And he's also grappling with, like, on the edge of becoming famous. Like, they were well known, but it was before the storm of BNL rage in 2000, where you've got Stunt and Maroon and big stadium tours and craziness. And that time period from like 2000 to 2005 had to have been a crazy whirlwind. And BOAPS was right kind of before they hit that big stride. So I don't know.
Is before, I was going to say Gordon blew up.
Yeah, but it blew up, but not like Stunt and Maroon did.
But for them,
Canada.
like, they were huge
in Canada.
Like, they were huge in Canada. They were a big name. But
but it's a different thing to break worldwide, especially in the States too.
But they didn't know that was going to come either. Like,
no.
So, like, to them, they might have thought, like, this is the big thing. But this song was written even before Gordon. This song was written after the Yellow Tape, maybe even before Yellow Tape. So, like, I like the Fame direction, and it makes some sense to me, especially when we do when you look at the because that was the direction I had seen in online and had been like, all right, let me see if that makes any sense. It does start to make sense because you got the I've been around the block at least once on my bike. I was prepared for the news, but not the full scale war. So that like I've been around the block. I know some things, but I don't know as much as I thought I knew. I've been around the block on my bike. It's a pretty naivete kind of point of view, and I was prepared for the news, but not the third World War, which is they never sing that line, but that's the line in the liner notes is not for the Third World War. But so we're gonna go with what he sings, which every time, which is full scale war. He was prepared for it, but at the same time, he wasn't prepared for the fame. I get that, and then all of a sudden he's recognized in the grocery store by this old man with a cardigan that says, "Didn't I see you on TV?" So a little bit of fame there. I get that. The part that I will say it rankles me a little bit is this must have been the same thing that Charlie Brown went through. He keeps pulling out these fictional characters and breaking the fourth wall, but not breaking the fourth wall in a way that makes sense, because if Charlie Brown were a real life character that people recognized, and then it made him depressed that he was starting to get recognized and he felt uncomfortable.
I don't think you're supposed to apply that to the old man story.
I don't know. That's the thing, is I don't know, because then on the next line, on the next verse, he's talking about the Fantastic Four. He goes into the comic shop to find a comic that he can sell, which that 1992 totally a thing that people did in 1992 is we tried to find a comic that we could find for a really bad price that we then could like sell and make millions off from. But then walks the Fantastic Four, like they're real life people, like, and it must have been the same thing that they were going through. Like, what? I don't get it.
I think I don't know. I see all these things as less like holistic and more like individual. And I'm not reading the fame thing as much as you are either. I think the old man with the cardigan on is an answer to like, how do I connect with people around me? How do I like, I don't know, maybe, well, when he's saying found me an answer, it's the answer to what does it mean to wake, have a dream and be wearing someone else's shorts, which perhaps if you want to really dig in is something like, what does it mean to wake up and not really know where you are, and kind of like, maybe that's an alcoholism or a drug thing, or maybe it's just maybe it's a depression thing where like, you know, you can't seem to stop sleeping. And every time you wake up, it's like a new day, but everything's the same, in a sort of a Groundhog Day type of way.
That's interesting.
Okay.
So the new thing that happened to him that one time was an old man in the grocery store said hi to him. And that was the one beautiful thing that happened in his life that one day that felt like an answer.
Yeah, but an answer to what? I found me an answer, but there was no question. It didn't say that.
The question was, what does it mean to wake out of a dream?
The question was like I think about the, like when you're that age, looking to someone for that piece, like the answer is in the, like, how can I put this? The form of an old man with a cardigan on in his 50s, which I can't think of anybody in their 50s with a cardigan on.
Mr. Rogers.
Maybe.
He wasn't Canadian.
No, he wasn't. But he was, I mean,
Everyone knew Mr. Rogers
is my favorite human ever.
Heidi says as she pulls two Funko Pops to show us on camera.
Yes, because for me, there's nobody more influential in my childhood than Mr. Rogers. And as far as a personality goes.
And we know they know Mr. Rogers because they have referenced him in another song.
But he's smart, and then to say hello, didn't I see you on TV? Like
I didn't say whether he was good.
No. Tell me an answer in the form of
I think you're right about the growing up thing, because the bridge is always supposed to be the aha moment for the audience.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say to you. What, Tracy, what do you think the bridge is about?
And maybe that's the answer.
Growing up.
Hold on. Maybe that's the answer is he's like, what does it mean to not know who you are, or like feel this weird, like, I don't know who I am. I'm wearing someone else's shorts. I'm not like, I feel like I'm out of body experience. Like, I don't know where I am. And maybe that was the answer, where the answer was this guy saying, hey, didn't I see you on TV? So I know who you are. So maybe there's something layered in that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Quick question. Do you think maybe he woke out of a dream and he was wearing someone else's shorts because he had just like run through a sprinkler and taken a drink right from the hose and changed into his sister's clothes?
I almost brought it up and I didn't. Because I was like, I'm pretty sure Tyler's going to say something.
Which, again, to bring up Pinch Me, we know that Ed has had a history of dealing with mental health things. Mm-hmm. And, you know, more recently him talking about Live Well at the live concerts. Like, we know that Ed has had a tough time, and it's been a long journey to come to a place of mental health, right? It is a journey. And when we get to the bridge, these things all end. Who asked you anyway? You have to bend. Who asked you anyway? Right? That's a back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. Someone's trying to give him advice. Yeah. Hey, these things all end. Screw you. Like, I'm going through it right now. Who asked you?
Right.
You have to bend, as in, like, yeah, you just like, sometimes you got to deal with it and accept these things. Again, screw you. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, and he says it with that, like when he says, who asked you anyways the second time, there's a little bit of malice in his voice. Who asked you anyway?
Who asked you anyway?
The last, I will say, I do like the play on weathered veins. He's talking about a electrical storm and getting struck by lightning, and talks about his weathered veins, or weather vane.
Yeah, my brain didn't process that until I was looking at the lyrics right now, and like my brain knew that there was a thing going on there, but it just didn't let it click.
Can we please talk about the different lyrics that were dropped, though? So we have some of that in the bathroom sessions, and also in the Stop Us If You've Heard This One Before. And maybe that will give us a little bit of an understanding, I guess. So the jewelry store verse, or what I will refer to as this jewelry store verse.
Yeah.
Must have been the same thing Mom and Dad went through, which is a finish off from the line before, which would have been
just after the second verse. He's, instead of saying Charlie Brown, he says Mom and Dad, which I think he does in the regular version of the song too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a jewelry store, looking at a wedding ring the size of 3 or 4 paychecks, and in walks a girl next door. I say I do. Funny how fast things change.
So that once again goes to that growing up thing of like, I never thought I would be doing this, and here I am doing this thing that I never really saw myself doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from a different generation. How much is the ring supposed to cost? 3 or 4 paychecks or more?
3 or 4 paychecks is
supposed to be 6 months. It used to be, that was the thing. 6 months, wasn't it? Wasn't it 6 months?
I always heard 3 or 4 paychecks, but I also came from a not very wealthy area.
Oh, are you kidding? Mine, like, there was no wealthy ring on my fingers either. Oh goodness.
I think that one lends more toward that, like, growing up sort of.
Oh, 3 months salary. 3 months salary. That's the general rule.
Okay. So depending on when you get your paychecks, if you get monthly or bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3 months salary. Okay.
All right. Then there's also the set of lyrics, and I had to write these ones down, so they may be incorrect, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because they're not online anywhere. And I'm in a general store looking at a photograph of a smiling 8-year-old just got a fist the size of his younger brother, now tugging on his shirt saying, "Let's go home."
And I'm in a general store, looking at a photograph of a smiling 8-year-old. Just got a fist the size of his younger brother, now tugging on the shirt, saying, "Let's go home."
Don't get that. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that.
We don't need to judge things that are in incomplete states.
I mean, he did get rid of it, but he sang it in the bathroom version. So, like,
no, he only sings the jewelry store verse in the bathroom version.
Oh, that's right. Yes, this one is just the "Stop Us If You've Heard Us Before." I'm glad they got rid of it, because I have like that one made me even more confused than any of the other lyrics so far.
So when I was listening to this song earlier today to get ready for the podcast, it was interesting because I don't know, I was just kind of doing stuff around the house, and I was like, oh, let me put on this song. And then, you know, when you're listening to the song for the podcast, you're like, oh, I got to listen to the song. But literally the moment Ed started singing, my brain turned off. I started singing along because I know this word like the back of my hand. And like my brain just went into like automatic comfort mode of like just totally engrossed. Like I didn't need to even think. I just like was living in the song within the first 5 seconds. And I thought that was really an evocative moment of like, oh, this is how much this song just goes for me.
Well, you know what? Say what you want about that, Tyler. We should probably talk about the ratings.
Or is say what you want next week?
It is.
Okay. That's a Silver Ball song, right?
It is.
Wait, what's next week?
Say what you want.
Oh, say.
It's not a terrible song, but it might be one of the weaker ones on the album.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Why don't we go? I gotta still figure out what I'm rating this song. I've been struggling with this. So why don't I go with Heidi? I'm gonna go with you first.
Wait, what's our rating scale?
Oh, we get
Weathered Veins.
Scale.
Weathered veins. Weather veins.
It's all the same to me.
Footballs.
Old Man in Cardigan.
Salary. How many salaries?
How many Mr. Rogers?
No, I like the salary one. How many months salary?
How many months salary?
Is this ring word?
All
right. So how many months salary would you give this song?
I would give this song. I love this song. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the music, the harmony, the chord progression, the stream of consciousness. Like, I don't know what it is, but I really love it. And I would give it 4.7 months salary.
Wow. Okay. Heidi, 4.7. And if I get the recordings for Aaron and Stefan, I will put them in here. But Tyler, what do you think? How many months salary would you pay for this song? Aaron's report is, unfortunately, this one was spoiled for me, so I know it's from Born on a Pirate Ship. But to be fair, I did not think I would have had guessed this correctly. It is an Ed song and a pretty classic country-esque ballad in his style. The production work is such that I might have guessed it was from an earlier album, but I doubted that I would have pinpointed it. So put a tally in the Aaron is stumped column for this one. Overall, I like the song. It's nice. I like the lyrical content, as it seems pretty open to interpretation, but muses upon subjects like struggling with fame, possibly depression, or a feeling of alienation. Having said that, I can't quite
put it on my best of playlist. It's definitely not a song I would skip if it came on, but it's probably not one that I would seek out with great regularity. I like it more than I will dislike it, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't quite make the cut for me. I would give Same Thing a very solid and respectable 3.6 out of 5. And Stefan says, I really like the sound of this song, especially the harmony between Steve and Ed. The lyrics really paint pictures, though I don't completely know what the song is about. Great song, great sound, rank 4.8.
Well, thank you for asking, Tracy.
Aw, you're so polite.
Well, thank you for saying that, Heidi. I try not to take up too much space here.
Oh my goodness gracious! You take up all the space you want.
Oh, don't give me any leash. So it's one of those things where, you know, I'm not on this podcast regularly, but I'm on it frequently enough where it sort of doesn't feel like I'm just coming on for the ones I like, but I am. I'm just coming on for the ones that I want to talk about. And so, like, it's hard for me not to give this 5 month salary. So that's what I'm going to give it.
Okay. All right. 5 months salary. All right. Let me put that in here. I'm going up and down my list right now, and I'm trying to figure out. I will say that I very much like the Stop Us If You've Heard This One Before much better. It's not. I like the speed that it's at. I like the whimsicalness of it. But then again, with the BOAPS version, I have to say, like, I really do kind of enjoy the.
Can I say, Tracy,
that it creates, I guess, is the word I'd like to go with. Like, if I turn my brain off and I don't think about what the song's about, if I don't take into account what he's trying to say, I kind of like the song.
Can I say, Tracy, that maybe the song isn't offering answers because when you're in that situation, you're not going to have it.
Right. There are no answers.
I like a song to tell me something. Or
not everything has to have.
Not everything's didactic. Sometimes you can just empathize with the feeling.
Right.
And I think that's what he's going for, but it doesn't. I think if I had played this song,
what is Pinch Me about? What is that song about, Tracy?
We've talked about that. Go back and listen to it. That one had a very definitive description and understanding of. This one doesn't, but I still like how it feels. I'm going up and down the list here, kind of like placing it with other songs.
Ow, 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 ow.
I know a basic area of what I want to give it, but I can't make up my mind. I'm gonna come back to this one at the end of the year. I'm gonna put down a number just right now and know that I'm gonna come back to it, and it may go up or down a few points, but it's not gonna vary considerably. I'm gonna give this a 3.8.
Okay.
Wow. I'm really surprised, actually.
Yeah, it's just this one doesn't do much for me. It's pretty to listen to, and I wouldn't change it because it's pretty to listen to. But I really wouldn't seek out this song. Matter of fact, it's one of the songs that for a long time I was like, yeah, that's why I don't listen to this album. I got into it a little bit more listening to it this week and grew to like it a little bit more. But it really bothers me that I can't like put my finger on what this song is about, and that's why it doesn't go higher.
Well, maybe you just have better coping mechanisms than the rest of us, Tracy, because
I don't know about that. So going with the theme of the same thing, I'm gonna do the same thing this week for our appearance, and have our one last appearance of Sean Cullen, doing a duet of "I Want to Know What Love Is," the classic power ballad by Foreigner.
Know what love is. I want you to show me. Sorry, I want to feel what love is. Sorry. Sorry, Tyler. I tend to break into song frequently.
No, that honestly, if you could have a microphone in my apartment, you would have heard me wailing sound of your voice for some reason.
The sound of your voice.
If you want to hear the sound of Tyler's voice singing, then you should go listen to our remixes that we did for last week's episode, and put a vote in.
Oh my gosh. I can't figure out how to get to the QR code because I had it on my phone but I can't screenshot.
Okay. So if you can't QR code it, if you just go to our Facebook page and then ask to join the group that is there, you should be able to join the group.
Tyler, I was just listening. I'm going through listening to my competition here. Did you sing it?
Yeah.
And Stefan went way overboard with it was so loud. It covered up the sound. Oh my Lanta. Oh my goodness. I had fun with that. But I was like, wait, that's Tyler singing.
Yeah, I cut out Steve's electric guitar and Steve singing.
I added marching feet.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
World of War, and I added these cool opening things but I kept the integrity of the piece. Stefan just said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna do what I want," and boosted the accordion sound. I don't know what it was, but
so. I'll tell you this. I actually edited it for Stefan. Stefan told me what he wanted done. I got rid of the accordion altogether and boosted the strings really high.
That's what it was. It's so high.
Yeah, the strings don't really help in my opinion.
And then he ramped up the electric guitar.
But anyway,
I'm there now.
Anyway, what's this? I want to know what love is thing.
Yeah,
so
what is that?
It's Sean Cullen and Brian McMillan doing a duet of "I Want to Know What Love Is," but they're also playing off each other and really kind of joking around, and Brian does this very different version of the song, so it's a lot of fun. It's our last ships and dips type song for a little while, and I figured it fit in with the same thing. I did want to talk real quick because all three of us in the last week have gone to see the wonderful Bare Naked Ladies
the Last Summer on Earth tour.
Yes, Last Summer on Earth tour. And Tyler, tell us your thoughts on the most recent shows, because you went and saw them. Go ahead.
So I went to the Mohegan Sun show about a week and a half ago, and it was very interesting to be in a arena show for BNL because, I've seen them at the Pavilion in Boston. I've seen them on the pier in Portland. I've seen them in the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom. And all of those are medium venues. And the Mohegan Sun Arena is a large venue.
Okay.
And obviously that's because they're touring with Toad the Wet Sprocket and Gin Blossoms, who are a bit higher echelon of a draw. Although, for my money, Colin Hay and Violent Femmes and Bare Naked Ladies was the best concert that I've ever been to ever, because those are three of my favorite acts of all time. So I went with my parents and my aunt and uncle because I'm a baby who does things with people of the older generation. I went in knowing the songs from Detour to Force. I was super pumped to hear New Disaster, and I was moderately familiar with the other songs from that album. I was very I was very pleased with Live Well, and I was surprised that they played Man-Made Lake and Internal Dynamo. I was very pleased with those. I was annoyed that they played Rollout, and even more annoyed that they made fun of it before and after they played it. They made fun of the song, the fact that they were playing that song.
Huh.
Okay, beforehand they were like, "Oh, we're gonna play some songs from the new album, and people aren't gonna like it." And I was like, "Okay, that's like a bit that you can do at a concert, self-aware. Like, we're gonna play a new song, and people are like, it's okay, just sit through it. You're gonna enjoy it, whatever."
They did that at our concert as well.
But then afterwards, to be like, "Wow, that song from the new album is bad. Why did we play it?"
Whoa!
Essentially, is what they said. And I was like, yeah, I agree. Like, and they didn't play Flip at the concert, which we were talking about earlier, Tracy and I.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't you just play Flip?
And I love Flip. Like,
Flip is one of the better of the songs from the album.
I'm wondering if it's gotten old for them already, if they feel like that's like they don't enjoy playing it. Because you're right. Like, it was their first single off this album.
I had a coworker who went and saw the show in Central Park, New York. I think they had, and my coworker, who's your age, was bummed that they didn't play more of the old songs. And, you know, I obviously respect that opinion. And I honestly wish that they did play at least one or two more songs from before 2006. Just because I wanted to hear Light Up Your Room, or like, I was kind of bummed that the concert was just like the one mega group song. Like, I wanted them to play like an older, slower song. I was pleasantly surprised that they played Sound of Your Voice in their mini acoustic set, because I love that song. Tracy said that they played Hello City at the show that you guys went to.
It was okay.
Yeah.
That was my best rating of it. They did better with Hello City during the sound check than they did during the concert itself.
In the grand scheme of things, I was really impressed with the concert, which is crazy considering they played 8 songs from the new album.
Mm-hmm.
They that's half of the concert. Like, the proportion of the songs that were from the new album did not set them up for success, and they pulled it off. Which is in my opinion really great. Playing the newer hits like Gonna Walk and Odds Are and Looking Up, those are all fun songs to hear live. I think Looking Up has really grown on me as a live song, and Gonna Walk is always a fun sing along. I wish they had the balls to play one week in the middle of the show. One of the things I respect about Violent Femmes is they'll play Blister in the Sun third.
Yeah.
Because they know they can end on Add It Up and they'll be fine. I wish that they, like that Play Everywhere for Everyone tour, I wish they put it in the middle of the set somewhere. But they know that the half of the crowd is just there to hear the 2 songs, and that if they play it in the middle, people will leave. It's an unfortunate reality, but
I'm looking at this list, and they didn't take any of the one that we went to. Heidi and I went to the Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion. They didn't take any risks.
No,
like they hit a lot of 9 songs off the new album, which is a lot.
I think the risk is playing Man-Made Lake, but
it's not a risk. That's a new song. Like, it's not really a risk. The ones they played off from other albums
well, what would be a risk then? Because they have 30 years of great songs.
Like I would say something that wasn't a big hit that's a deep dive of some sort.
They're not going to play Spider in My Room, Tracy.
No, not Spider in My Room, but like, I don't know, same thing. Same thing would be an example of a risk.
They don't need to play that because he's already doing Live Well and Man-Made Lake. It would be a lot to do another acoustic stripped back song,
or do King of Bedside Manor.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
like
Yeah.
Something that people aren't expecting. We're expecting Brian Wilson. We're
And
expecting
that's
Big Bang. We're expecting 1 Week. We're expecting Pinch Me. Like, and Odds Are like none
that's
of those
what they're missing
are,
in the encore. They didn't need to do the supergroup thing. Like, it's
I
great
like
they
the
get everyone
supergroup
on
thing.
stage, and and you know, it's funny that they do the Traveling Wilburys song, because that was a supergroup too. That's a funny bit, but
Yeah.
they should have had that be a second encore.
Or they should have just like they came back out, did a couple of risky songs,
Yeah, because
and
that's the
then
place
done
to do
the
it.
big super group.
Yeah,
Because that
It's underwhelming at the end there.
Try something. I didn't notice it until after. To say I really did enjoy the concert, and
that's because I think it's riskier than you think to play so many new songs.
I think it is, but at the same time, I think they could have taken 1 or 2 of the new songs off and done something riskier with an older song that a lot of people don't hear a lot of times.
I agree in general. I think they did one too many of new songs, specifically Rollout. They should have replaced Rollout.
Yeah. I would have been, honestly, I would have been okay if they had skipped Rollout and if they had skipped Big Backyard. Like, those two to me aren't their strongest ones off that album, but we'll come to that. And
like if they had done Sound of Your Voice as the Kevin song for all the shows, and then done, like, because you got to have a Kevin song.
Oh, that would have been Sound of Your Voice as a Kevin song is amazing. I would have really enjoyed hearing that. But here's what I will say. I didn't think the concert, I walked away from the concert going, that was really fun. That was really great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a cool experience.
Me too.
2, I walked away saying BNL was the best band there that night. They
put on the best show.
Yeah. Toad the Wet Sprocket and Gin Blossoms both made the mistake of no banter in between songs.
Yeah, it was like a job. It was like a day at the office.
Like, they still played well and they had fun, and like Toad more so than Gin Blossoms, but even Gin Blossoms I thought was engaging. But they didn't talk at all between any of the songs, and I was just like that. And then when BNL came on and they were bantering and riffing and joking and telling stories, and I'm like, this is what I come to see BNL.
Yeah, those other 2 bands are 45-minute bands. Like, maybe if you liked them, you would want to see them play a full set, but I don't know how they would pull it off. BNL, you know, they've always been a band that has put on a live show first and foremost. That's why they put on Rock Spectacle, like put out Rock Spectacle. Like, that's their thing, is putting on a good live show.
Yeah.
And they still know how to do it after all these years.
Yep. Both BNL and Steve still put on phenomenal live shows. They just do.
I'm so excited to see Steve.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to see him in New Hampshire a few months ago, and he was phenomenal. And his banter with his bandmates is what made that show. I mean, him singing is powerful, but what makes it live and what makes it really like an enjoyable show is listening to him talk with Kevin and Craig.
His connection with his audience as well as his musicians. Like, there's something, I didn't feel like there was any connection between the lead singer and the members of Gin Blossoms or Toad. Like, and I mean, Toad played when I was in college. They played at Keene, and it just seemed like they were like, okay, we're opening, yay, thanks everybody. I just didn't feel like there was any banter connection, any kind of, it was just players on a stage. It was so different than BNL. And maybe it's because we're so used to seeing them and we know the connection and we know, like, but it's also even the soloist, like when they were soloing and Kevin, you know, like they're all coming forward and taking their moment and having a chance, like when Tyler came out, and like there's those moments that each individual had, but for the first 2 they were very much stationary, stayed in their spots. In fact, the Gin Blossoms lead singer just with his leg up on that thing for almost every song, he just stayed stationary with his hand on the microphone and the leg his one leg up on the thing, or foot up on the thing. I was like, okay, you can move. Like maybe he couldn't move. Maybe it was stuck.
Well, I think like he didn't have another instrument to play, and I don't think he knows then how to move around and engage the audience beyond that.
Which is weird after all these years.
Mm.
One of the things, and it's because I guess it's because, you know, I'm such a big fan, but one of the things I like about Bare Naked Ladies is you look at all the guys on stage and they all have like their shtick. Like,
oh yeah,
like Jim's got the skinny jeans and the acoustic bass.
And
Tyler's
dancing.
Tyler, like, I don't know. It's hard to describe Tyler's vibe, but he's got his own look. Kevin's like the weird eclectic one. Don't listen to them, Zignon 5. Like he's got his vibe. and then Ed is the front man, but he's got either the Hawaiian shirt. He's got like the classic handsome face. Like they've all like, they're like the Beatles. Like there's each of them is the one. Like,
Well, so one of the things that I picked up that Jim did, and I'm going to do my best to describe it here.
Jim roams a ton.
Not only does he roam and dance and engage, when he is playing, it doesn't matter if he's playing grandma or if he's playing the electric, but especially when he's playing the electric, he is catching people in the audience with his eyes, and he has eyes that there was a moment.
Oh, you guys were in the first row. I was way back. Okay.
I was in the first row. And so he looked at me, and I want to say it was during It's All Been Done. And he's right there. And what he does on every song is he's looking at someone in the audience, and then he moves on and looks at another person in the audience. And some people will look above people's heads to make it feel like, oh, I'm looking at the audience and not looking at any one particular person. No, he was deadlocked into my eyes and staring at me. And like, there was no doubt. It was direct contact.
No Doubt was at your show?
Yeah. Whoa. How did I miss that?
He kept my eyes locked on him to the point where I was like, okay, now it's getting uncomfortable, but I can't break this. I can't be the person that breaks this. I can't be the person that looks away from Jim. And then finally, I would say it was about 30 or 40 seconds, he finally like moved his, it was cool. It was electric, but it was like, to the same point, I was like, holy cow. Like, that is the longest stare down I've ever had. And it was comfortable, but uncomfortable at the same time. But he did that a lot, and I was watching, because after that I was like, okay, I gotta notice, does he do this often? He was doing it with a lot of people throughout the front 3 rows of the show. And Kevin was not doing the eye locking thing, but he was like, when he was playing, he would go right up to the side and he would play things for people and engage them in his own style. It wasn't just we're up on stage playing this. Like, we're going to put on a show for you.
Holy shnikes. Sorry,
Heidi just got done listening to my version of Rule the World.
Yeah, that's what it was. No, so Stephen Page is playing at the New York State Fair in Syracuse. Mm-hmm. And it's free.
What's that show?
Admission.
What day is that?
Syracuse. August 24th. And you know how much tickets are?
Free?
$3.
All right, that's the day after I'm seeing Jack White in Portland with my sister.
My God. I
will be on the road. I could make a detour. A detour to force, as it were.
It's free.
But it'll be my third time seeing Ed this Saturday. This Saturday will be my third time this year seeing Steve. Wow. And I would make it a fourth because I finally went all in on his solo stuff.
He's playing at 1:00 on Wednesday, August 24th. I have to mark that down, that I have to go to Syracuse.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Heidi, who gave me a wonderful t-shirt that I got to wear at the show and show off. And it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Bella. that shirt, that made the
Shout
design
out
for
to
that.
Bella. I think we got some more listeners from people we met at the show.
We did, and actually, I know one of them. And it's funny that you were saying, Tyler, that you went with family members that were older, because I talked to this one lady that was there with her daughter, and that is their thing that they do every year. They go and they go to see 3 different shows of Bare Naked Ladies in 3 different spaces every single year. That's their get together type thing. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. I want to do that with my kids.
This was the year that my family dropped my sister Condra, who's made an appearance on the show. She likes Bare Naked Ladies, but she's like, we've done it enough. Whereas me and my parents, or at least me and my mom, we could go like every year.
So I'll say that, and I'll also say I got to do the VIP experience and meet the guys and see the sound check, and that was a lot of fun. Like Tyler came out, and my favorite moment was he came out to just before they started playing the sound check, and he's like, you know what? By the way, they said this numerous times that night, that they love the New Hampshire Pavilion, because the New Hampshire Pavilion just really treats them right. Matter of fact, all the bands that night said, like, these guys like wine and dine all of us and make us want to come back. And so Tyler comes out, he's like, yeah, I just got out of the pool, and before that was the spa. Like, I'm having a great day. And this woman goes, oh yeah, I'll do you one better. I get to meet Bare Naked Ladies later. And he goes, oh, those guys? I heard they're assholes.
Oh my gosh, Tracy, did you know that Steven Spielberg was at our show?
What?
Yeah, Spielberg was there. Yeah.
Stevie?
Yeah, he has a house not far from there. And a friend of mine, I had so many other friends that were at that show that I didn't even know. And Spielberg was there.
And Tracy, you were in the first row, so you were probably sitting ahead of Stevie.
Yeah, you probably were. Yeah.
Tracy's jaw was on the floor and he picked it up.
I don't know even what to say at this point.
I know, right? Yeah.
Get him on the podcast, Tracy.
I was like, what the shit?
I could have gone up to him and damn it.
Hey, excuse me, Mr. Spielberg. I've got this Bare Naked Ladies podcast, and could you be on it? I'll send you my Zoom link.
You're obviously a big fan of them, so please come on the show. We know you listen, Steven.
That's what Stevie loves. He loves West Side Story and Bare Naked Ladies.
Well, I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know what to say at this point. So,
say what you want.
Say what you want.
Well, come back next week and we'll be saying what we want about the song Say What You Want.
Yay!
Wow, beautiful.
Beautiful. Good night, everybody.
Must have been the same thing. It must have been the same thing. Must have been the same. Must have been the same thing.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.